It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by
PSE Archery, Yamaha Outboards, Better the Hunt, Easy Cut, Packer Max, Deer Camp Coffee, Buck Baits, JPO Game Calls, Limwalker Game Calls, Wild Seasoning, Total Peep, Sunrise Archery, Scent Lock, and Scent Blocker.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Episode number 601 of the Up North Journal.
You're barely talking.
Yeah, got a little bit of a frog in my throat tonight, so I'm going to go as long as I can, folks. If something happens to my voice, you'll have to listen to Danny and our guest.
Right, exactly.
I'm sure they'll do just fine. So,
a little frog gigging.
Right. So, what do you think? You ready to kick this thing
I
off?
am. You know what? I tell you what. It's a little bit windy outside, but we got to continue our show and move forward.
All right. Okay, let me kick the record off. Here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in a blustery cabin here in mid-Michigan tonight.
You're not kidding. It's windy out.
Hold on to your hat, man.
I know, right? It's like holy cow. It's like
I seen a cow blowing down the road, man. It was crazy.
We've had some crazy weather. Luckily, we've just had a little bit of wetness and wind today. But
A little? 50 mile an hour, man. It's crazy.
I didn't go outside to find out.
But let's quit blowing off steam here, man. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So you go ahead and tell the good people about the people who help us.
Absolutely. There's nothing better than helping our supporters who help us. And you know what? Starting off, getting over to Deer Camp in Sterling Heights or Buck Baits, getting over to buckbaits.com. If you use the promo code UNJ20, you'll get 20% off your order at buckbaits.com. Or go see Julie down at the store at Deer Camp in Sterling Heights. Go check it out. You can go check out everything they got in the store. It's a brick and mortar store. You can touch it, you can feel it, and you can buy food there. That's not bad at all.
I like that.
I know, right? He's got some venison there, and so got to go check it out if you're in Sterling Heights. You know what? A couple weeks ago, we had Lincoln Roan on the show, and before you know it, we're going to be into April. It's going to be needing to be spring planting season. And if you want $25 off your order, use the promo code UNJ25 at packermax.com, or give Lincoln a call and just talk with him. Find out tell him what you need, what you're looking for. He'll get you pointed in the right direction. And nothing better, getting those calls ready.
Predator season's still going on, you know.
Absolutely.
Turkey season's coming up too.
And there's nothing better than getting over to JPO Game Calls and getting 10% off your order when you use the promo code UNJ10 at JPO. And
you didn't give me the slide to put up this week.
I thought I sent it to you. Oh, no, I didn't.
No, you did not.
Okay. We had them on the show a couple weeks ago. They are now proud supporters of UNJ. WildSeasonings.com. You use the promo code UNJ2021. You'll get your 10% off your order. You got to try this stuff because it's a seasoning that we tried and it pops.
Dude, it's out of sight.
It is, isn't it?
It's well, I'd say something, but I get in trouble for saying it. So
right.
I described it in a certain way. It makes your mouth explode.
It does. So, you know what? It's Thursday night. It's the third Thursday of the month, and that means only one thing at Up North Journal. It's Yamaha night.
It is.
And there's nothing better than having on a Yamaha Pro Fisherman, and we're going to talk fishing. The season's coming, fast approaching, so let's go over to Wisconsin and talk to Josh Blosser.
Hey, Josh, what's going on, man?
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're tying things down over here to keep things from blowing away, but other than that, we're doing good. Actually, I think we got something for Wisconsin blew this way. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I hear you. Yeah, we've been dealing with those winds too. It's crazy. It is absolutely nuts how windy it is right now.
I bet the water's pretty choppy for you guys right now.
Well, what open water's around here? I'm sure it's rocking pretty good.
Is there any open water at all to be had right now?
Yeah, there is. So, my home body of water here, Lake Wisconsin, the Wisconsin River runs through it. So It actually opens up fairly early, I guess, considering inland lakes. But a lot of the main bays still do have ice on it. So there's limitations, but luckily for us, I guess, there's a handful of ramps all the way around the lake. So there's definitely access. There's definitely great fishing going on right now. I know guys are out. I personally have not been out yet, but there's been a lot of guys out already catching some walleyes and saugers.
I know here in Michigan, Saginaw Bay, we're getting ice shoves coming up on shore right now, but the Saginaw River itself, man, I've seen boats on it already, people fishing, trying to get some walleye. So people are starting to get out there. It's that time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely is. And, just north of us is the Fox River running into Green Bay there. It's not quite at its peak, but, there's a group of guys up there that they work so hard to open them launches up as soon as the first warm front comes. I mean, they've got pumps, chainsaws, everything out there, and they do everything they can to start getting boats in the water. And them guys are catching, I'm hearing of 70 fish days already up there.
They seriously take chainsaws to cut their way through the ice.
There's definitely a group of guys that put in a lot of time in opening the ramps well before then if you just let Mother Nature take their time or do work its course. Yes, there is definitely a group up there that they put in a lot
That's
of
awesome.
work and effort. Yep, to get them, with the current, it goes right, the dam's right there. So
Nice.
They basically, anything to loosen ice, get it up, it gets out of there quick, and they got open water to go fish.
That's hilarious.
I've seen them use chainsaws for like sturgeon spearing, cutting the big holes for spearing, but man.
They want the ice to go away.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of ice going away, we're hearing that you guys are coming to town next April, but before we get there, how did you become a pro walleye fisherman? Because we talked to your brother last year, and now we find out that his brother's in it. So you're the last of the four that we know that are in the pro walleyes. And what made you decide to head that direction and get into it? Was it the old "I'm going to beat my brother" game, or what was it?
You know what it really was? It starts all the way with my grandpa. He's the one, as far as from what I remember, being a youngster. He lived up in Minocqua, and we'd go up there, I'm also a twin. So we would spend a month and a half just up with my grandparents in the summer when we were out of school, and fishing was his thing. He was a diehard fisherman, and what we did was basically we had a bunch of chores to do around their house, mowing the yard, whatever. Once we did those daily, then our reward was we got to go out fishing with Grandpa. And so as far as fishing goes, that's really where that came from. Now the tournament side, I would probably have to say started with my dad. He actually fished on the FLW, the bass side, for had to be somewhere in that 8 to 12 year range.
Okay.
Fished professionally on the bass side. So the tournament scheme and what all goes on with that, I got to see. Like I say, I remember the days coming home from school, literally rushing inside to get on a computer to watch my dad come weigh in, walk across the stage, depending on what flight it was, if I was done with school or not at time. I didn't have cell phones in school, so I couldn't live stream it off my phone. But yeah, that was really what got me, the excitement level of tournament fishing. Then to my older brother, Robert, I would definitely say is the reason why I have steered towards walleyes. I've been fortunate enough to grow up with him, and we have done a ton of fishing together. His passion went that way, and I kind of just followed right along with him, and kind of ever since that, the story's done. I do love bass fishing. I admit it. There's not a lot of walleye guys that will say that, but when I go fun fish, I usually fish for bass. But as far as the tournament side, yeah,
okay.
I'm 100% walleye guy.
So you got a little family gatherings must be interesting. Got to admit, it's not going to lie. There's a little competition there. We talked about this in kind of our warm up talking to you. As you go down that path of being that professional type of person, getting into the walleye or bass or whatever you might be doing, how important is is family to you getting in and doing this? Because you're traveling, you're doing tournaments, you're away from home. Talk about how that affects you, the support you need and you get.
Yeah, it is everything. To be able to do this, like after every tournament, I am thankful for how blessed I am to be able to do these tournaments, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work on myself and any tournament angler. They know that. But your family that, and mine unfortunately cannot travel. My wife works. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter. And, when I'm gone for that week and a half, my wife holds down the fort. Without them, this wouldn't even be a thought. It wouldn't. And the support too. It's not just I'll do it. It's they support what I do. They're excited for it. They watch all this stuff. They watch the weigh-ins. They're paying attention. The best time is when I get off the water and I get to Skype my daughter. Every day we try to do that. When I'm fishing late, I take 5 minutes off in the middle. Once I find service on a body of water, just to Skype my daughter. So the family aspect is 100%. So important to have the support behind you. So you are allowed and capable of going out and concentrating on your task at hand, for that particular tournament, which is go try to win it.
That's got to be huge, because there's so many guys we know on the hunting side of what we're doing that family can make you or break you. It's either there or it's not, and if it's not, it can cause huge issues. But to have that kind of support, that's got to make you feel more, I would say, even more confident out there on the water, knowing you got that support behind you.
Yeah, it does. And my little girl, like I said, she's 2.5 years old. She's getting to that age where she's really picking up a lot of things. And my tournament jersey this year, I had one made for her. And one of the proudest days, it was Valentine's Day. She got her little Valentine's gifts, me and my wife got her. One of which, she's a big Minnie Mouse fan, and got her a sweatshirt with the little ears and stuff. She loved it. So she put it on, and before we left, she was saying, "Daddy's jersey." And
nice.
I'm like, I kind of half heard it. I'm like, "What?" She's like, I'm like, "Oh, the jersey," because I had just given it to her about 2 days before. Uh-huh. And she insisted on wearing that jersey over the top of that brand new Minnie Mouse sweatshirt that she went crazy for. And that was pretty cool. I'm like, it's awesome to see your little girl in your tournament jersey.
We got that picture up right now as you're talking about it, and
awesome.
It's one of those things that you're going along, and little things like this, they're going to last memories. And one thing nice about technology, if they're, we also have their bads about it, but
right.
But it's that being able to be connected, whether it's through FaceTime or Skype or whatever, that moments instead of going when Daddy would leave back in the day, if he couldn't get to a payphone, that was about it. But now look at that. You hope to find signal. You can spend 5 minutes face to face, and it just recharges your batteries.
Oh, 100%. It makes a big difference too. It does. Like you said, like that's your fuel, to get that. 5 minutes is nothing. I'm sure we've been talking for longer than 5 minutes already. It feels like we just started, and it's a short amount of time, but to see your family for that little bit of time, like you said, that's the fuel. And for you to hear them say, we love you, Daddy, go get them, it's like, that's kind of why you're doing it, is to make them proud almost. And they support you 100%, good or bad. And I love that I have a supportive family.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things we wanted to talk about with you tonight is getting that aspect of what is needed in support wise, because truthfully, you're not in a team aspect, so it's up to you to figure it out and try to win the tournament on your own.
Well, I think a lot of people, just in general, people maybe watching or listening to the show, they maybe have that dream of being out there on the water and being a pro fisherman, or maybe in the hunting realm, being on TV, and having videos out and stuff. But in reality, a lot of people really don't know what it takes, and the sacrifices, like you said, Josh, that the family does make. It's huge.
Yeah, it is. It is huge. I mean, that's really the best way to put it. And I'd be lying if I said it ain't tough sometimes. It is. It's part of it.
Exactly.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, because I think it's important. We're trying to get, in that aspect of, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes. You get a little bit in front of the camera, or you get a little bit in front of the video or voice, but there's a 95% behind the scenes that takes a lot out of you.
And that's the thing too with it. It's not just my time on the road, so to say. There's a lot of prep work that goes into each one of these events. And it's already started for our first PWS event coming up in April here on the Detroit River. It's already started for that. So I'm prepping tackle. I'm prepping rods. Again, that's time away from the family.
Yep, exactly.
And yes, of course, I bring the daughter out. But realistically, when I'm doing that, you're not getting a lot accomplished like you need to. It's also a lot of late nights. My little girl goes to bed at 7:30. When she's down and out, that's when I head out to the garage then. And I stay out there as late as I need to because now she's sleeping. That's
perfect.
My time.
That's a perfect example of when you did your dad time, and after she goes to bed, you still got. It's not like, hey, you're going to go hit the pillow. No, you're going to go do the next couple hours to try to catch up on what you needed to catch up on that you stopped because you took time to be the dad.
Right.
So.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I tell you what, we're coming up on our first break. The second break, we're going to get into you and Yamaha and everything that is Yamaha. So why don't we step out and we'll be right back.
All right, we'll be right back after this, folks. All right, everybody on the live stream, if you got questions, get them in. And no, Tammy Delk, I do not have the Rona.
We'll leave that right alone.
I scared everybody at work. I went to work Monday, and everybody just looked at me like, dude, what do you got? And I'm like, no. I couldn't talk Monday. I had no voice. I went in and did my job.
That's right.
Playing the good employee.
Anybody out there in Facebook, you got any questions for Josh? Line them up. We'll get them to answer it in our next couple of segments, and we'll move on.
Alrighty, let me save this.
You save that.
And stand by. Here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Second segment of the show. Talking with Josh Blosser over in Wisconsin, talking about Yamaha.
Right, exactly. And first off, Josh, if anybody wants to follow you or check out how you're doing, can they follow you on Facebook and all that?
Yeah, honestly, the easiest way is Facebook. I will admit that's the one I'm the most active on, especially with updates and stuff. Facebook and Instagram, a little bit of Twitter. I'm not a big Twitter guy. I don't know that well, but Facebook and Instagram, and it's literally just my name, Joshua Blosser. Pretty easy to find, and at the same time, if there are any questions or you have any comments or anything, shoot me a message. I'll respond to them right away as soon as I see them. I'm an open book. Ask me anything. I'd love to answer any questions anyone may have.
Just keep them nice.
Yeah, just keep them nice, mellow. Becoming a Yamaha Pro Fisherman, how did that all transpire that you got on and are now on the Yamaha Pro Fishing team?
So that would have started, I lose track of years. I've been with them for about 7 or 8 years now, and they're literally my first sponsorship, and I've never looked back since that day with them. The big reason was a personal relationship with David Ittner that I had established leading up to me making the jump to fishing professionally, so to say. I will always be thankful for David because he took a gamble on me, and I hope I'm doing him proud. I do my best for him, and that's where we got our start, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and since then, just kind of kept building up, and Here we are now fishing the head-to-head, the professional walleye series.
And now you've gotten to the point where it's not just a sponsorship, but it's a relationship with the company, almost like a friendship that it just keeps on going every year. And
I was going to say that's a great way to put it, because when it first started, you've got one or two names of, and you're in a little contact here, a little contact there, but now after 7 or 8 years, I mean the list of employees, staff at Yamaha that I've dealt with, that I've just met, and now again, the technology we were talking about earlier, social media, you can stay connected. It's amazing how many people you can stay connected with through Facebook, and it really makes a lasting impression when you meet them. And that's a great thing about Yamaha, is that they make you feel like a family. Again, you're not. I hate to use this reference, but you're not just a number. Like I am Josh Blosser to them. I'm not just some guy. Which it's a good feeling. It's a great relationship.
And we're kind of, as we're into our second year working with Yamaha, we're kind of finding that out as well. Learning you guys on the walleye side. On the bass side, Brandon Palahniuk, and you guys putting it all together. You guys are coming into town. We're going to talk about that later. We hope to hook up with you guys and sit down and talk with you and have a soda. And but what motor are you running? Let's talk about what you got to power you down the Detroit River this year, or gonna have.
I'll be running my my F300 offshore. That is the only motor I've ran since I've been with Yamaha, and I cannot say enough about the reliability. Honestly, there's so many good things you can say about Yamaha motors. The reliability, I can just keep saying that word over and over. It's amazing. It is simply amazing. I have had 0 issues, and yes, I'll knock on wood, just superstitious, but I have had 0 issues with any of my motors. They are incredible, and the performance of them, obviously, second to none as well. But, a lot of these tournaments, when we're making 60, 80, heck, it was making 100-plus mile runs one way. You want to be confident that you're going to be able to make it back to the dock or the landing when you're doing that. And it allows you to go fish, because I 100% know when I turn that key, I'm making it back in. There's no questions asked. So
well, that's the key, and that's kind of the common thread that we're starting to see with everything going on here. That reliability, dependability,
gas mileage.
When you guys got to make a run, like you just said, you're not going to sit there. You got time that you need to be back at a certain spot. You don't need to be going, I need some gas, or I can't get my motor started, or you need to get up and go.
Yeah, I mean 100%. And when during a tournament, when you decide to make a run like that, you're giving yourself at best an hour and a half, 2 hours of actual fishing time. When you do that, usually on big bodies of water, because it's never flat, it's never calm. You can't run wide open. It's rough water, and you have to capitalize on every minute of your fishing time. So, like you said, you can't be worried about having to go fuel up, or even if you're making that extraordinary of a run where you do. You can't sit there and fill up an entire 60-gallon tank. You need to know, hey, if I splash 10 gallons in, I'm good. I know it because of my fuel mileage, the great fuel mileage I get. I'm good to make it back. So you can basically do a splash and go in that situation, and it's the confidence of all those things that allow you to actually go and attempt those runs. And when you do those runs, it's a zero or hero type of run. So that's how you win tournaments, is taking the chance and laying it all out there.
That's a good way of expressing that. We've talked about all the little keys with Yamaha, all the things that make Yamaha what it is. But when you put them all together, and just what you said, you've literally got, minutes they're ticking, and you've got to get somewhere, fish, and get back, and you're laying it on the line. That says a lot.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that are willing to make that type of a commitment to just call it 100+ mile run. I mean, it almost, even myself saying it now, it almost sounds ridiculous in an 8-hour tournament day that you're going to run. You got 200+ miles in travel, and you're also going to fish and catch your 5 biggest fish. Like it just doesn't sound like you should be doing that. But again, with the reliability and the fuel mileage, it allows you to do it. It really does. It brings it into play. Without all that, you would never even look that far. That run would never even come into play. You would never even go take a peek at that area. But with the Yamaha, especially that F300, that offshore, literally, it's boundary to boundary. It's all in play.
And you're talking about a 300 horsepower motor, and they've got them anywhere from
correct.
2.5 all the way up to the big XTO offshores. That this whole reliability is needed, especially if you're going to take the ones out in the ocean, right? That I don't feel like getting stuck out in the ocean. It just doesn't work well, I don't think.
Just drift around for a few days.
Yeah, just drift around.
At least here you wind up in Canada,
Right.
You know what's on the other side.
Right, exactly. So, but dependability is one of the key things that Yamaha stands for. So, not only do they stand for dependability, they also pay back with this Yamaha Power Pay.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Can you explain that just a little bit to people maybe they're listening tonight or watching tonight that's never heard about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So Yamaha Power Pay, it's I guess best way, a contingency program. So the best part about it, most companies have something like this out there. The big difference with the Yamaha one is it's free. You don't have to pay your way into it to hope to win a tournament to get paid back decently. It's free to be in. The second thing is you don't even have to win the tournament to collect on the Power Pay, which is, in my experience, that's unheard of. Most of these contingency programs are all about if you win the tournament, there's set money aside. They want their Yamaha motors to do well, their participants to do well, and when you do well, they're going to reward you for it. And again, like I said, there's no entry into it. So literally, if you fish any tournaments, it's worth checking out their website, seeing the tournaments that qualify for it, and make sure you get signed up, even regardless, because it's free. Just in case you not accidentally decide to jump into one that qualifies for it, you want to be signed up. That way you can collect your money.
You're right, and as we have the website up on the screen while you're talking about it, YamahaPowerPay.com, and the scroll has got what they've paid out, and like you said, you don't have to win the tournament.
There's somebody in 31st place.
31st place. 13th place, 14th, 22nd, and they've got some money. It might be it's just a couple $100, or it might be a couple thousand, depending on what tournament and where they're at. But for free, why not?
Absolutely, it just shows their support for their consumer. They appreciate, not only are they giving the best product out there in that class for an outboard, they appreciate you believing in them and running their product, and they're going to reward you when you put it on a stage, basically. And even if you, like you said, with 30 something, I heard, hey, if you're the top Yamaha finisher, you're still getting the money. They're not going to make you win the tournament, which is awesome, because all of us tournament anglers know to win a tournament is one of the hardest things to do. Like, everything has to come into play, but to be consistent and to be in the top 25% all the time, that's a good angler. And it might not look like it because you're not always in the top 5, but consistency goes a long ways, and Yamaha recognizes that.
Absolutely. Awesome. It's one of those things, whether it's walleye fishing, bass fishing, get on the website, YamahaPowerPay.com. Register, check it out, see if any tournaments that you're thinking about getting into, and sign up if you got a Yamaha motor, because it could pay in the end.
Absolutely.
And then while we're talking about Yamaha outboards, you go over to YamahaOutboards.com. You can check out the whole line of motors, anywhere from a 2.5 all the way up to the big 425. So, it's just one of those things. Go check them out. The reliability and dependability and gas mileage, if you're looking for a new motor, is definitely getting over there to check it out.
Before we go to a break here, let's just say somebody come up to you and you didn't know them. Maybe you're out kicking tires or kicking, the side of a boat, so to speak. Somebody's looking to buy a new boat.
Well, if you're Joe, you're running over. If you're running over cones.
Yeah, you're running. Oh man, he's gonna get you for that when he sees you here in a couple weeks. But somebody's looking at a new boat. Out kicking the tire, so to speak, and they're looking at motors. They say, we've seen you do some fishing. You're a pro fisherman. Why do you run Yamaha? What would you tell them the reason is that they need to look at Yamaha?
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm at boat shows, whatever it may be, talking to anyone in the general public, there's 3 big points that I always make. And the first one is, again, what I harped on earlier, the reliability. Mm-hmm. I don't care if I'm in a tournament, taking my family out. I want to know I'm getting back to the dock every time. And that's where I have my confidence. Number 2 is fuel efficiency, the gas mileage you get with them. In my opinion, from my experience, what I've seen, it's second to none. And again, that's keeping dollars in your pocket, whether it's recreational, tournament fishing, recreational fishing, it doesn't matter. You have to start them motors. To be fuel efficient is a big deal. The third thing I tell people is, I said, you know what, if you line them up side by side, same hull, maybe it may not be the fastest one. It might not. In some cases, it will be, but it may not. But if you want to give me the fastest, and I don't know if I'm coming home and what that's taken out of my pocket for fuel, then you know what? Maybe Yamaha's not for you. But as far as reliability, fuel efficiency, and performance, there's only one that checks all 3 of them. And that's usually what I tell everyone, and that's why I've been with Yamaha since day one.
There you go. That's brutally honest.
That's it. And honesty is the best key to a good salesman and word of mouth.
Well, and right now, it's with the way things are going in the economy. I mean, money's tight for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, for me to put gas in my vehicle and head up north, I mean, there's times it's like, okay, I got to make sure I got enough money to be able to get back and forth, but also to go to work next week. I mean, some people, they cut it real tight and they have no choice. So that's a good point. And maybe they do have the money to be able to buy a new motor, but when you start putting gas in it, it adds up over time. So I understand what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here on our second break, so we're going to step outside. We come back.
We got some questions for them.
We got some questions from people here online, and we'll see where it leads us. So we're going to step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
All right, Terry, I got your questions lined up for him. Elijah Kane Keller says, there he is, one of the best sticks on the water right there. Now,
appreciate it, Elijah.
Now, I would be kind of wondering, because it could be a hockey stick at this point if there was ice on the water, right? But I know.
Yeah, I wish I was a good hockey player. That was one thing I love watching. I never got to play hockey, though.
Oh, it's fun.
All right,
bet.
Here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Third segment of the show. Doing a little chatting here during the break. As always, we have a lot of fun during the break. So those of you who are listening to the podcast need to go over and check out our show.
Everybody that's listening on the podcast, you got to go check over the Facebook or go check over YouTube, like Mike says, because there's a lot of things visually when you see, what we talk about, and when we bring up the websites to look at the PowerPay, the Yamaha outboard motors. It just gives a whole different aspect of whether you're just listening to it or watching it.
Right, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
All right, we got a couple questions here for you. First thing, you look at a tournament site. So you're heading to a tournament. What's the first thing you're going to look at?
Probably the boat launch.
Right? do you do a lot of pre-scouting from home on using your maps?
Yeah, absolutely I do. And I'll answer that question, I guess, kind of how I perceive it as far as my, and hopefully I'm right here with whoever asked that. When we have a tournament location come up, especially one I'm unfamiliar with, the first thing I do is I lean on my electronics technology, navionics. I literally look at the lake, zoom way in, and I start just studying contours before even knowing anything about the lake. I just start looking. And then I'll start the research on if, what end, if there's a river through it, what end does it run through, where's the current running, start really fine-tuning that. But the first thing, I just want to see the layout of the lake. Is it a giant bowl? Does it have multiple structure? You start to get an idea, and it almost gets me in a mindset like, okay, this is just a huge bowl, huge, reservoir type deal. Now we need to start worrying about X, Y, Z compared to a lake with multiple, mid-lake humps and da-da-da-da. So that's where I always start off. I always go to a contoured map and really study the whole lake, and then start trying to put the puzzle pieces together like I'm there even before I'm there.
Okay, so that's going to lead me to my next question. Okay, you're heading into the tournament. What's your favorite type of walleye fishing first?
Technique-wise?
Yes.
Sure. So my favorite would probably pitch and plastics, casting. Honestly, if you asked me that question 2 to 3 years ago, it was always, and still is, it's a close second. It is, because I love it. Is open water trolling. That's kind of where I got my start, where I felt like my strong suit was when I was young and kind of coming in. I guess one of the first things that kind of clicked for me. But as of late, I love pitching, casting to specific spots, specific fish, especially on a spinning rod and reel. That one-on-one combat, feeling the bite type thing, there's nothing better. When you get on a good casting bite, yeah, it's pretty fun.
All right, so obviously you're making plans coming to Detroit, so you've been kind of studying where you're going to be at and whatnot, and you kind of you're building a game plan in mind then.
Yeah, absolutely, and honestly, I've never been out there. Last year was my first time even in that area, fishing Lake Erie, and I did the same thing heading out to Lake Erie for the NWT Championship. Basically came out with everything, expected everything, and I had a blast. It was so much fun. So it's incredible fishery, and just from that little sample I got, I can't wait to fish the Detroit River. And I'm preparing it. It's a river, and in my opinion, with a river, there's a lot of your general tactics. Like vertical jigging is going to play a huge role. And I think our PWS, the Professional Walleye Series event coming up here. But there's a lot of other things, hand lining, for instance, on a river. You can't ever rule it out. It can really be a player, and I do like the hand line. There's, again, just looking at maps, contours, it looks like there's spots where you could cast to them. So it's literally going to be an event that you got to bring your entire arsenal. And with the PWS, what's kind of cool about it is we get 3 days to pre-fish. So, again, I've never been on the Detroit River. I have 3 days to take a look at it, try to figure out what tactic's going to work best, and then I got to go beat 32 or 31 of some of the best walleye fishermen in the world and make it to the top 8 bracket. So I love the format. I can't wait to get started on that.
And because of that situation, you've got – in the river, the current's going to be super strong, and then when you head out to the lake, it changes. So depending on where you feel like you're going to go and try to catch these things, you're going to have an interesting 3 days of zipping around.
And the weather can be anything from below freezing to 75 degrees.
Right.
That time of the year, it changes so quick.
Exactly. With that April time frame, that early April, I should say, that's flip a coin. Like you said, it could be 60, 70. You could be in a T-shirt, possibly shorts even, or it could be the other way. It could be 20 easily, and you could have 2 to 3 inches of snow on the deck of your boat.
Right.
So it's going to play a big factor. It really is. I mean, that early April events, weather always plays a huge factor in them.
You know, we talked to Joe last time about that event coming up, and he explained it a little bit, the format and everything. For those who are watching or listening here, can you explain kind of the rundown of the way that works compared to other tournaments?
Yeah, so this is going to be a unique experience with the professional walleye series. It's 32 anglers. The big thing with that is we have 5 qualifiers and a 6th event championship. The same 32 guys are at every event. So unlike some of the past circuits we've all fished on, you know, there's not a – and it was what it was. It's fine. It's great to compete against locals and stuff, but I guess the way there's not a local cherry picker. There's not a guy that only fishes this certain area. Yeah, he's a heck of a stick out there, but he's basically going to pay his money, come in, fish that event, and he's not going to travel and do it the rest of the circuit.
Right.
So you take all that out of play. It's the same 32 faces at every event. The second thing is, you know, we're not having to put any fish in the live well, and I'm all for that. Like, even when I go fun fishing, I rarely keep fish to eat, and I'm 100% for it. Like, I'm not against that. It's just, unless I'm cooking them that night, I do not put fish in the freezer. So I love seeing fish go back to swim. I just love catching them.
Right.
And when we're able to catch these fish in this PWS format, put them on a scale, release them, this will all be done within a minute, and then continue fishing, that's going to be phenomenal. And not worrying about babysitting fish in the live well, taking care of them because you don't want, you know, fish mortality.
Right.
No one does. There's not one angler that wants to kill a fish. There is not professional angler. So, you know, those are some of the keys. And like I hit on before, was the 3-day practice period. And like currently right now, I can't go out and even look at hardly the Detroit River. I can't put a boat on it. I can't float on it. I can't take a pontoon dinner ride on it, which is awesome. So 30 days before each one of our events, it's off limits totally to getting any info, to seeing the body of water. And then we, like I said, we have 3 days to dissect it. And you go into the first 2 days, and out of the 32, only 8 move on. And that's when you get your head-to-head bracket established, just like what's coming up tomorrow with the NCAA bracket. You know, it's
right
pretty
on.
cool stuff. The other kind of big thing I like, and what I've been saying this whole time with this format, is it's a 5-day tournament. So Monday through Friday, that's what you hope it to be. You will slip up. You will have a bad day. It is going to be really, really tough to have 5 great days. But in this format, it's how bad do you slip up and how bad does your competitor slip up. Mm-hmm. So you can have a bad day and still advance and then still go on to win this event, which is, I think, it's awesome. I can't wait. I seriously, I hope you can see the excitement, because I'm excited to get this thing started.
Well, I tell you what, it's coming up soon. It'll be Detroit River, April 9 through 16. The 28-mile stretch of the river unites Lake St. Clair and Lake Erie, serves as a national border for Canada and Michigan, and its deepest hole is going to be 54 feet at the upper mouth of the river. So you are going to have an enjoyable time trying to figure that out in April. Not going to lie. That's
this just a little stretch, right? This
right,
little,
right.
Basically 30-mile stretch.
Right. Well, actually, that's actually a good thing. It limits you to where you're going. You just got to figure out where they're at, right?
And you just keep zipping up and down.
Right. Question: do you ever drag harnesses?
Drag crawler harnesses?
Yes.
Yeah. I fish crawler harnesses a lot. I will say with the PWS, we are artificial only. That is another factor.
Okay.
So
there you go. That's an interesting tidbit.
And honestly, as an angler, I love it because it sounds bad. I just kicked my table. One of my least favorite things is taking care of bait. Oh, the babysitting of, making sure crawlers are in the fridge, chubs, whatever. All that's gone. We're 100% artificial for the PWS. So, yes, I use crawlers live bait a lot, have in the past. Now, I won't be worrying about it, which I'm not angry about.
That's awesome. And Elijah says, gives you another compliment. Is he like the president of your fan club or what? What I like most about Josh is he's always been a straight shooter, extremely smart. He's not a talker. You're a doer. So you go out and do it.
Appreciate it, Elijah. Yeah. No, actually, Elijah's from my hometown. He's a heck of a stick around here as well. So don't let him sneak up on you. He's a toothy critter chasing guy, and tell you what, if on this Lake Wisconsin River system, if I want to go find a muskie or a pike, I know there's one person that could put me on one, and it'd be Elijah. He's a good dude. We run into each other a lot, and we get to exchange some stories, which is awesome.
Hey, I just want to give you a quick heads up. Joe Okada is sneaking through the chat room here. I think he's trying to get the skinny on how you're going to set up for this tournament.
Oh, no, is he?
Yeah, he said hi.
Hey, Joe.
He's probably. Yeah, let's see what he's talking about.
Right. Oh, that's
Joe doesn't know about what we talked about before we came on yet. So
no, he doesn't. And I'm going to let you talk to him about that when you guys get together. So it's one of those things. And this head-to-head thing, if you make it to the brackets when they go live, you'll have a cameraman in your boat. Do they have you, the fisherman, and a cameraman, and that's it? Or is there 3 people to a boat, or just 2?
So once you get to that bracket format, everyone will have a cameraman, and everyone will have a marshal, as well as the angler. In the first stage, where there still be, I think it's 8 to 10 boats that have cameras out of the 32 in the first 2 days. So they will have 3 people per boat. So there's a dedicated marshal. The cameraman is strictly a cameraman, not acting as marshal, judge, everything. He's running the camera. Your marshal is the one recording everything, calling all the shots. So, yeah, there will be times where you have 3 in the boat.
Okay. I just wanted to know the format because I've been kind of watching the bass guys and waiting for you guys to get live and do this head-to-head thing. Can't wait to see that coming up. But, it's going to be pretty exciting. I find it interesting when you finally get here and you get on there, interested where you go. Are you allowed to, you can only stay on the American side?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's where they're fishing, at the American side? I assume?
Well, if you go 100 feet, over 100 feet past center.
Correct. Is that what it is?
Well, typically right down the middle of the river. That's the border.
So, but right now, you're not allowed to go. I mean, we're not, without a special visa, you're not allowed to even go into Canadian waters, correct?
Right now, there's no, it's restricted travel to Canada.
Yeah.
I couldn't just pack up and go to Canada right now.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we're straight on the Michigan side.
Okay, that's good. Just stay there, unless you want a pretty little uniform.
I hope that's where we should be. Like I said, I've never been there, so but honestly, that's a good thing for me, I guess, because basically it cuts the river in half.
Right.
It's half as much to look at. I know I can't go over to the other side, so concentrate over here. Even though there's something tempting, and from what I've heard, it's pretty decent on that side, but we got to fish this side, so we'll make it work.
And that's where dependability of your motor is going to come into play because you don't want to go drifting.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here on the last break, so let's get that out of the way, and we'll come back in the last segment. We'll have a little bit of fun, see where the questions lead us.
We got to talk about this one-armed buck.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the hunting side yet, because from the pictures you sent us, quite the hunter too. So we'll step outside, take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit of hunting as well. We'll be right back after this. All right. Last segment, folks. Get your questions in if you've got them.
Get your questions in. Joe Okada has showed up. Awesome. That's awesome.
I can't wait to have all 4 of you guys together because it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
We'll stay in touch.
You think that at least?
Oh, Danny and I are quite the instigators.
No, it'll be fun. Hopefully that works out. We can get that. That'd be cool.
You just gotta tell us when and where, and we'll meet you there because we're from where I think you're staying.
What are we, an hour away?
You're an hour away. So
okay, we'll figure something out.
We will because we want to show Yamaha what true guys you really are.
Yeah, we gotta be careful. I'm just kidding.
We gotta be careful.
Like I said, we're instigators. No.
Yeah.
We play nice.
Uh-oh. Joe Okada is saying, paint me some jigs, Josh.
Paint me some jigs.
Uh-oh. Look at that. Not only does he want to know his secrets, now he wants to do his work for him.
Right. I thought he was the one painting jigs last time when we talked to him.
Right?
As I'm sitting here waiting for my crankbaits from him.
See, that. There
it
we
goes.
go.
All right, here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Last segment of the show.
Again,
Got a little dicey there, didn't it?
if you gotta if you're listening to the podcast, you gotta watch the Facebook Live, because what happens between the segments is just priceless sometimes.
Good stuff.
It's only instigation at its finest. But we've talked fishing, we've talked about family, but also you're a hunter, and we kind of like that. Not gonna lie, you sent us a picture of a kind of a, okay, it's a nice buck, I get it, but dude, you got your arm in a sling.
What's up with that?
Yeah, so the year I shot that one, that would have been last year. I had shoulder surgery in October, and because of the fishing season, it was a tough choice. I'm a diehard, dedicated bow hunter, but with the fishing season, I put off shoulder surgery till October. As soon as we were done, I had it done, which means my archery season is pretty much squashed in Wisconsin. That one I shot, I believe, I want to say, when was it? First week in November. So I can't pull back a bow. I'm obviously still in a sling. My twin brother has a crossbow that him and his wife have had from when she was pregnant. That way because she's also big into archery. So that way she could keep hunting while she was pregnant. And he had sighted the thing in for me, and it was actually after his son's birthday party, which I think I left there at like 12:31 in the afternoon. He gave me his crossbow, and I went out, and the goal was to just go sit knowing you may have a chance, but I was kind of losing my mind not being out in the woods.
Right.
And like I always say, with archery hunting especially, it's not all about seeing a big buck and shooting it. It's everything that's going on. There's the woods is so alive in that time of year.
Absolutely.
That it's just so enjoyable to be out.
It's the experience.
I needed that. Yeah, exactly. And I needed that. I've been, that brace I had to keep on for, I think it was a month and a half, for 24/7, sleeping in it, everything. I just had to get back to normal. That's who I am. And so long story short, I went out, and that deer I had seen for the last 2 years, kind of watching them grow. One of the very few deer I even named. I don't name a lot of deers like a lot of people do, but that one I saw all the time, and I knew exactly who it was. And I think I sat for an hour, and he gave me a 20-yard shot. My brother.
Hold on. You're using a crossbow. How does one pull a crossbow back with one arm?
Yeah. So my brother came up, and he was with me, and he cocked it before he left.
No way. Oh, man.
So
nice.
So hold on. So you have to give half the credit to your brother?
There's my twin brother is the one that got the bow ready, and then I always say this is the best deer I've ever shot, because then my older brother Robert, so after I shot it, I call both my brothers, and it's just call it 2:33. So they know I'm not calling them to chat. They know I'm out there. So literally both of them are like, "You shot?" I'm like, "Yep." And they're like, "Unbelievable." They're one of those type of deals. But my older brother Robert and his wife Katie, they came up to give me a hand because obviously I wasn't quite able to do a lot of dragging and picking up, but that's why I say it's the best buck I shot, because my brother gutted it. I did help with my one hand get it into the back of the truck, but it was pretty hands off. It was awesome, actually.
Man, that split G2 is awesome.
I know, right?
There's some character in that buck. Yeah.
I tell you what, so he just shoots the buck. He gets his brothers to A, cock the crossbow, and B, gut the deer and load it up.
Wow,
that's not a bad deal. That's pretty good.
Sign up for this program.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I need to get that sling out again this coming year.
There you go.
Maybe that's it, right? Maybe the deer felt sorry for you.
Yeah, it probably did.
Well, you sent us a couple other pictures. You're in an airplane flying somewhere to do a hunt. What's up with that?
Yeah.
That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, to date, that's probably the coolest hunt I've been on. Me again, Robert, two of our other close friends. We did a do-it-yourself drop camp hunt up in Alaska for caribou.
Nice.
And that was an experience. Kind of to start off, you get in that picture of me in the plane. So the weather was terrible, windy and stuff. So our transporter, he actually took three of us in one of his bigger planes. That's his bigger plane, if you can see how much room's in there.
Yeah, you look like sardines, all right?
Yeah, and I don't consider myself a small person. I mean, I'm about 6 foot, 200 pounds, but it's pretty tight. So he flew three out of the four of us. Robert was the one that stayed back. He basically got us a little closer to the hunting grounds because of how bad the weather was. We couldn't take the little plane to get us all the way there. The next morning, he flew Robert all the way there, then came to this halfway point he dropped us off at, that we camped out at, and flew us all together. We were allowed ourselves, our rifle, and 50 pounds of gear, and that was it.
Wow.
That included your tent, everything. It was an incredible experience. It was awesome. And I think I sent you a picture too. We tagged out, all four of us did. And it's one of them deals, we're out in the middle of nowhere. So we have, it's not like hey, we're done, you want to come pick us up? You get dropped off this day.
We'll see you in a week.
And you get picked up. Yeah. But if the weather's bad, it might be 2-3 days later because of these little planes. So
right.
That picture is one of my favorites. I don't know if you guys have it up or not with the four of us holding our caribou.
You're allowed one each?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we were done then. Yep. But basically, we had a lot of time. There's a lot of meat care that go into that. We went to work. We built a meat pool out of the resources there. We had one guy brought a small little tomahawk / axe. There was a lot of manual labor going into that as we're treating the hides, we're taking care of this and that, the meat, we're hanging it, we're rotating it. But at the same time, we had time. In my opinion, it's a pretty cool picture. Yes, we had our phones with us. No, we had no service, but we were able to take pictures. So what happened on that picture was I was setting it up with rocks on the other side of that creek.
Okay.
And we'd start the timer, and I'd sprint across that creek, and everyone else was in position, and I'd try to grab my rack and make it look decent, and quick hold it up and smile, and it was like that. But again, we had nothing but time pretty much at that time, so it was fun, and we got some cool pictures. We had a blast. We did. That's one I hope comes back around sooner than later. That was an experience for sure.
Well, when you said you're limited on the weight of gear, did all four of you sit down and methodically plan? Okay, I'll bring this, and then I'll bring this. So did you all work that out so you didn't have multiples of the same thing?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when you're 55 pounds of gear, that's not much at all. That's hardly anything when you consider, you set your rifle aside. Now, everything else, that includes your food. I mean, MREs, whatever. That's your jet boil to cook that type of stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, we definitely did. We basically made a list of shared essentials and then divided it up. Okay. And you're bringing the water bladders, you're bringing this, you're bringing that. that way we weren't, well, there's no need when you're up there for more than one jet boil, realistically, unless something happens, but then now you build a fire.
Right.
So, we divided it out, and it was an awesome trip. We in my opinion, we nailed it. It was fun. We had everything we needed. But then we were successful, which was great to have fresh meat. Obviously, when you're on a hunt like that, there's nothing more rewarding than taking a backstrap and cooking it that night. So,
right on.
And did you have any visitors, as in bears?
We did not. We were very prepared by that, and you have to be if you go up into the tundra in Alaska. We had no bear visitors. We had a moose come through in the evening that we could hear as we're sleeping. They're not the quietest animals, so it came through pretty close. We found out later, once we got back to the Fairbanks area, we actually became friends with some locals there. And they were saying the area we were in is like a heavily populated wolverine area. Mm. And that's where they actually do a lot of their wolverine studies. So they were telling us, I guarantee you, your guys' carcasses were getting hit by wolverines constantly. So, but we never saw one, which I guess for my first trip up there, I'll take. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Like,
good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see one from a distance.
Right.
But if it's that or in our camp, I'll just go without seeing them.
Don't want to shake hands with them.
Don't just slap a high five.
You do your thing, I'll do mine. We're all right.
Right.
What did you guys use for water filtration?
So we had 2 different filtration systems. We had a gravity fed, and then we had collapsible 5-gallon bags. So we had one that was dirty water, where we'd go to the creek, we'd fill that, put it through the filtration, and it was filtering into our clean bag. Then we also had the ones, and I forgot the names of them, but basically you fill up a cup and it's you just push hard down on it, that type of deal.
Okay.
So we had 2 different systems going. It was kind of how much water we needed. We always kept our clean bag full whenever we were back at camp. If it wasn't full, someone get more, run it through the filter, keep that full. So we always had plenty of drinking water because, the fun part's hunting them and getting the kill. But that's when the work starts now. And we had a good group up there. And it was literally every bull we shot out of them 4. We went 4 for 4. 4 guys were on that bull. It was all hands on deck, caping, cleaning, cutting, and then you got to haul it all on your back. And I've got some pretty good pictures. I probably should have sent, since we're talking about this, of us, with the meat strapped on our packs, the racks, and all that stuff. So, but that's when you do your high five and you take your picture, and now it's kind of like, okay, shed a couple layers because here we go. Yeah. Now the work starts. So,
well, what makes it nice is it becomes an event for all 4 of you in this case, that it's all enjoyable. Yeah, you got your whoever did the shooting that day or that morning or that evening. Okay, that they enjoyed that 30 seconds of you shot one. Now let's enjoy the next 5 hours together because we're gonna be hiking.
We're gonna be working. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's a lot of work. Yes, it hurts. It's tiring. But like when you get back to camp with everything, it's a big reward. You kind of finally sit down in your chair and you're like, oh, and you realize what just happened, and it makes it all kind of come full circle, and it's a cool experience. Doing it that way.
Looking back at doing a DIY like that and having such great success, if you were to go back again and you're looking at it through the lens now, what's the one thing that maybe you encountered that you didn't expect that you would change, or maybe you wouldn't change anything?
So I guess the big thing would be I did take my long gun out there, first time ever doing it. Now that I've done it, I've got one, I experienced it. Like I said earlier, I'm a pretty big avid archery hunter. I would probably bring my bow.
Okay. For
sure the next time. Knowing, again, like I was saying, it's not about the success. But I'm not going to lie. We all know it's not free to go to Alaska and do this. So my thought process was, I want to get a caribou. I want to have a good time. I want it to be fun. I don't want it to be frustrating my first time going. Or now my second time going, I would love to bring my bow. It's not going to be frustrating. I don't feel pressure like I've already shot a caribou. I don't feel pressure to shoot a caribou. It would be awesome to do it with archery, though.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
that would
probably be my big change was I'd bring the bow.
So speaking of that, the distance you shot with your rifles was roughly
200 yards.
Do you think you could have closed the gap to within bow range?
So, no, not on that one. So the thing with the caribou is they, at least the time of year we were there, they just don't stop moving. They have their A to B and they're going. We actually, real quick, I'll try to tell the story. We spotted this herd coming over. It was like 2 ridges over, and kind of where we've been seeing them. It's like, okay, they should be right here. We saw the bull I shot. We did not see that. We saw a nice bull in that herd. So me and my buddy Kurt, we went up this. Again, you call them ridges, but it's more than a ridge. It's quite a hike.
It's a range.
Yeah, it took us, it took me 30 minutes and I half jogged it and I was about to pass out when I finally got up there. Just because Kurt had his stuff ready to go and he took off and I was scrambling in my tent, packing my bag, trying to get everything ready, to go do this hunt. So I kind of half jogged and I was ready to die when we got up there. And basically we sat and like the first 15 minutes, these caribou should have been on our lap and they weren't. Like, what happened? Sitting there, and all of a sudden I looked like up to my right, and it ended up being a different herd, but they came right on us. And the bull I shot was in there. And never presented a shot. I actually ended up having to strip my backpack off and everything and start sprinting down. It was like a 2-tiered area where we were on. And they came so close that it blocked a good shot. So I had to sprint to the end. Like I said, I shedded everything and ran down and caught them as they just came out and quick laid down prone, found them and put a good shot on and dropped them right there.
Wow. The unexpected happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's one of them things where you always have to be ready for anything, you really do.
Well, that's like in archery. Yeah. Whether you practice... Yeah, every shot possible. Behind you, turning, twisting.
You never know.
You never know what's going to happen.
Well,
if we got a second, with that said, my last 3 shots when I shoot at a target is always with fingers. I shoot a release. It's always with fingers. Well, that one time happened. I forgot my release. Didn't know it till I got up in the stand. I had changed pants from a morning hunt to an afternoon hunt, and I sat there and I shot a nice buck with fingers because I practiced. I know where my bow shoots, and it's totally different. It is not right on compared to a release when you shoot fingers. But I did my last 3 shots every time I shoot is with fingers, so I knew where it shot, and I was able to kill one with fingers.
There you go, guys, gals. Good advice right there. We're getting close here to the end of the show, but I want to pop this picture up. You call it the twin bucks. I want you to explain that.
Yeah.
That's a cool shot.
Yeah, so that's my twin brother. I know exactly what picture you're talking about there. Those deer were shot one day apart, and one was the day before our birthday, and my buck was on our birthday, which also was Thanksgiving, November 24th. That was it was a pretty special year. We've really never doubled up quite like that on a year, I guess, so to say. It was just it was one of them fun things where, it was a day apart, basically hours apart, and being twins and, basically doing that right on our birthday. It's one of them special moments to be able to take a picture like that, for sure.
Yeah, because you don't know if you'll ever get that opportunity again, to shoot bucks
exactly.
like that of a lifetime. So that's cool.
I tell you what, just the whole encompass of talking with Josh is just from his roots, watching Dad fish, Grandpa fish, to family, to shooting basically twin bucks with his twin brother days apart.
Fishing with his brother professionally.
Fishing,
I got to ask before we let you go. Who's the better fisherman?
Me or Robert?
Oh, no, the family.
Just the family.
Let's
just open it all up.
Oof. I'll go bass first since I don't do that. Hands down, my dad fished professionally. So I'll give my dad's the bass fisherman for sure, and I'll also give my brother Jeremiah a lot of credit there. Again, being twins, we're brothers. There's a lot of talking back and forth.
You think?
So I'll tell him otherwise, but I'll give him props right now. He would whoop me bass fishing, and he usually does too. So
and you know that's awesome that you give him a shout out, because that just shows you what kind of type of person you are. Being the straight shooter you are, you're a doer, obviously.
Well, and come April, we're going to find out who the better walleye fisherman is.
Yes, we are, and we got a few minutes left. We're running along, but if I don't ask these questions, I'm gonna get, you know what's gonna happen to me.
Yeah, you get smoked.
Right? We ask a couple of questions of our interviewees. They're real simple, so hopefully we won't.
Okay.
All right. So, first question is: you're gonna be driving over here, or you're gonna be driving somewhere to get a boat? Maybe you're gonna be doing some driving. What are you listening to on the radio?
Oh, so, well, so initially, I'll be listening to Sirius, the fantasy radio, it's called. So fantasy, I'm a big fantasy football guy. I'm a big sports guy. So I do a lot of fantasy football. As long as they're talking fantasy football on I have Sirius in my truck, I'll be listening to that. If it's actual music, it'll be a mix between probably like 90s rock, the grunge. That's
okay.
Kind of what, like Nirvana, stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm big into.
There you go.
Or same 90s, early 2000s, hip hop or rap. I also don't mind that. So.
Okay, so you're listening to that music. You're driving in your truck, or you're listening to which quarterback you're not going to start in fantasy football because he's injured. You reach over. You got a favorite snack. What's your favorite snack you're going to reach over for?
Ooh, favorite snack in the truck. So I'm not much of a snacker, but when I do stop at a gas station, the one thing I tend to buy if I am a little hungry is a Reese's peanut butter cup.
There you go. Okay. Going for the chocolate and peanut butter. Gotta like it.
Yep.
All right. Mike and Dan are going to come over this weekend. You're going to cook us a meal. What's your favorite go-to meal that you would serve us? Venison, fish, something.
Go-to meal?
Yeah. That you would say, you guys are going to love this stuff.
I would say it's not even... I would probably do steaks. I would probably do steaks on the grill.
Man, we are going because Joe's going to cook his steaks. Josh is going to cook his steaks. We're going to Wisconsin.
Honestly, I was going to say crab legs, only because like if I was treating someone, like I would want to do something like that. But like it's I can't like act like we get them fresh in Wisconsin. We don't, but I can get them
we'll fake it.
fresh. You know, they're frozen, but they're really good. I do enjoy making crab legs on the grill as well. So
we could
do surf and turf. Why not? We'll do crab legs, some king crabs, and steaks, some fillets.
There you go.
We could pull some. We'll get some live crabs from Myers. We'll put them in a cage. We'll pull them out of Green Bay, and we'll say, "Look what we caught." And we'll have everybody going berserk.
Yeah, right. That'll work.
Okay, last question. We just had a great meal of surf and turf. We're going to sit down by a fire, and you're going to tell us a story that really resonates within you, about you, of something that happened or that comes right to mind. What would it be?
Ooh. There is one. It's pretty deep too. There's a local state park here that I was hiking one day, and actually, I guess there's not a lot of detail needs to go into it, but there was a young girl who was struggling with life and basically went off the edge. And I had happened to hear her down there. She was still alive. And yeah, that one.
Oh, you were at the right place at the right time.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. And was able to call for help, and
Proud of you.
Good
Good
Samaritan,
job,
man.
Good job. That's an awesome story. That there is times when you need to be in the right spot. Anybody at the right time, they need to do the right thing
And lend a helping hand.
and lend a helping hand, or make a phone call, or even just talk to the person if that comes up. That is an awesome story.
It's exactly what it was. It was a tough situation, but I'm thankful I was there because I don't know where it all turned out, but I know she was okay after that. I mean, considering what happened.
Right.
So, yeah.
Good. Great story. That's awesome. All right. That's it for our questions. We've taken enough time with you tonight. One last chance. Get over to YamahaOutboards.com. Check out also Yamaha PowerPay. And if you want to follow Josh along, get on Facebook, Joshua Blosser. Check him out on Facebook. Like him, share him, follow him. He's going to be going head-to-head here in April. We hope to see him live. Well, we hope to see 4 of you guys in the final 2 days.
Right on.
That'd be fun.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to wrap up the podcast portion. Hang on with us just for a minute, and we'll continue the live stream for just a second. But for those of you on the podcast, don't forget, go over to his Facebook page, all of his social media, give him a like, follow, and share. Do the same for us. If you're listening to us over on iTunes, give us a review over there. That helps us. It helps the people who support us. That'll do it for us this week. And next week, we got Bobby Vargas. The one and only from PSE Archery.
One and only, my buddy Bobby.
We're going to be talking about some new bows from PSE, and since we didn't see him at ATA, we're going to sit down with him and enjoy a good long conversation with him.
Oh, yes.
All right, that'll do it for us on the podcast this week, folks. You all take care.
All right, we got Josh on here for just a few more minutes. Anybody with any questions? If not, we'll wrap up the Facebook live segment, and when we do, Josh, just hang on. We'll talk to you after the show.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
And Tammy, there's probably room for the third person.
Yeah, Tammy, and we'll think about it.
She's wanting to join us on our soiree.
Tammy is our resident walleye fisherman. She's the walleye girl. She goes out on the river.
As you say, sounds like someone I should have talked to before our off limits went into place.
Right.
Just ask the right questions. But anyways, yeah, no, she's our resident fisherman. She likes to do the fishing thing. She also does the hunting thing. So she's on she's on our staff.
She does ask though, do you ever fish just for fun?
Yeah, I do. And in all honesty, actually, the guys from Head to Head next week are coming down by me, and we're going to shoot a bow fishing show.
Awesome.
I do some bow fishing as well. So
nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So are you doing it on the bank, or are you doing it in the boat at night?
No, we'll be doing it on the boat. My neighbor, he's a heck of a bow fisherman. When I moved in my neighborhood, I think it's been 4 or 5 years now, somewhere in there. I knew what bow fishing was. I saw the boat, so it was one of them deals. Like I finally just walked down the driveway and introduced myself to him. And since then, we've been pretty good friends. Yeah. And he opened my eyes to that. That was always something. I'm like, you just scan around with lights on the bank. You see one, you try to shoot it. There's a lot more to it than that.
No
Absolutely.
kidding. I mean, it's the techniques and the corralling, and it's I call him a carp head. He lives it, dies for it. He's awesome. So yeah, we're gonna go out. So yeah, hopefully you guys catch that and we put on a decent little show.
That'd be awesome.
Cool.
I took Danny for the first time about 5 years
man,
ago.
It's been a while since we've been.
Yeah.
We got to go again.
The first time I went bow fishing was actually in Wisconsin. So that's where I learned from a buddy of mine over there. So it's been a long time since I've done it, but
it's a hoot, right?
It is.
It's a blast.
I always say it's the most fun you can have on the water at night with your clothes on.
Yeah, that's probably a really good way to, because otherwise, dealing with the bugs and stuff, especially with the lights but hey, when you're shooting fish, you forget about all that stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of goes by pretty quick.
Especially when the water explodes. It's good stuff.
Oh,
right.
You see that little twitch of the arrow right after you shoot?
Yeah.
You know you got them.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I think we're all set.
All right. No more questions on the live stream. So once again, everybody on the live stream, Go over to his Facebook page, give him a like, follow, and share on all of his social media as well. Same for us. And we'll be back again next week with Bobby Vargas from PSE. Y'all take care, and we'll see y'all again next week.